Hello everybody. I am joined today by my 15-year-old work experience student who has been with me for the entirety of the week, and in a change to the usual programming, I thought it might be a good idea, since he is of the youth of today, to pick his brains about what he sees as being some of the most challenging aspects of being a 15-year-old in the modern world. And we had a bit of a chat about this, a couple of days ago, I think, didn't we? Yeah, and we got into a bit of a deep conversation rather quickly, and so I thought it would make for very interesting watching and listening for all of you to have that insight into how he perceives life for a 15-year-old in this day and age, and also from a sort of mental health and well-being perspective, what the impact of that lifestyle is for him. So welcome to Ewan.
Hello, it's lovely to be here.
Thank you so much for joining me.
No worries.
So I have had some questions in from the NLP for Kids practitioners, and we'll dive into those in a little bit. But I think when we were talking the other day, the question that I asked you that sort of kicked off our conversation was, I think I said something like, for you as a 15-year-old, like, what do you think is most difficult? Like, what for you are the stresses in life these days?
So the stresses in life, there's quite a few. You've got the pressure of exams, which, I'm a year 10 student, so I've got year 11, but they're still quite a big worry for a lot
So
of
you've been
people.
doing mocks and you're
Doing my
prepping.
mocks, yeah, and the revision side of things, and the actually getting in there and doing the exams as well. It causes quite a lot of stress.
Stress how? Like, what is it? Is it because you're worried about what your results are going to look like? Is it the revision side of it?
It's a bit of, it's a bit like that. So the revising is obviously quite difficult, and you want your revision to pay off. And if you get in that example and then you come out and then you find your score and you've done terribly, you realise that revision hasn't paid off, or you're doing something wrong, and you start to rethink everything, and it can cause quite a lot of stress and negative feelings.
Do you find for you that doing revision is different to doing regular homework? Like, does it have a different feel to it?
Yeah, it started to just feel, because I never used to do it loads.
Okay.
Because I just thought, oh, what's the point? I've already got my homework.
Yeah.
But as I've progressed in the year and understood that actually this is quite important, I've started to do it more, and it has become almost more rewarding than homework.
Oh, really?
Sometimes I'll miss out on my homework and I won't get it done. That's just human, though. But it becomes more rewarding because you're going further. You're doing more than what the school almost expects you to.
Okay.
And it does normally pay off.
Yeah.
But sometimes you're not doing it right. You're not revising the way that works for you.
Yeah.
So you have to adapt and find ways which do work, and it takes some time, but
have you found that quite easy to do, that adapting and finding a style that suits you? Have you found that something easy to do?
Yeah, more or less. It's quite obscure, but if I can quiet room, maybe put some music on, if I reread, make notes for English, for example, do practice paragraphs on the questions that show up in the exam.
Okay.
It almost becomes pleasant.
Okay. Do you think, if you think to your friends and the people around you at school, would they have a similar outlook to you? Like, do most people, from what you've seen, find their groove and are able to have that almost sense of enjoyment from doing something like revision, or do you see it working out differently for different people?
It definitely works differently for different people, because it's something which is different for everyone, the way you work it. So it's a bit like everyone is going to have different foods that they enjoy. No one's not everyone likes the same food. It's the same with the ways you revise. Not everyone is going to revise the same way. Yeah. So say me, I'm a bit more musical, so I will put music on, but maybe some people can't listen to music while they revise, so they won't. Yeah. And it's just different for everyone. I think with my friends personally, I think they'll be a bit different to me. Okay. They're not. My friends aren't very musical. Love my friends, but they're not very musical. So I doubt they'd listen to music. I think they'd be a lot more focused. but they do similar things to what I do.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So it's just different for everyone.
Okay.
Somehow.
All right. So what else puts pressure on you in life these days?
What in general?
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of pressure to look good and to feel good, feel confident in yourself, which I feel like not a lot of people my age are.
Okay.
And it's hard to feel confident in yourself because everyone up my age is so judgy.
Yeah.
You know, a bit picky and horrible.
It's interesting as well that you think of that as a pressure because so I'm just curious about that because feeling confident, generally speaking, like most people want that. Most people want to feel that way. But there's also a difference between being confident and still being introverted. So someone who likes to keep themselves to themselves or doesn't, it kind of isn't the loudest in the group, maybe spends more time by themselves. They can still be a confident person, but they might appear more withdrawn. Whereas other people are confident and it because they're like, they're the leader in the group, they're the loudest person in the room, they're the one on stage, front and center. So when you talk about the pressure of being confident, is that related to the fact that some people might just naturally be a bit more shy and introverted, but there's pressure on them to be that big, colourful character that maybe doesn't fit?
I feel like that is sometimes the case, actually. You've got people in classes mucking about, and it's funny, and they're trying to get other people to join in. And if you're quite quiet, it's hard, and you want to be liked, and you want to be funny, and have people appreciate you. But if you're quite naturally quiet, and you don't speak that much, it can be quite difficult to fit in, I feel like sometimes. But, there's obviously going to be more people like that within school, so maybe hang around with them, they'll be your friends.
Yeah.
But it's something which is, I've noticed a lot more personally in school, that there's more louder people and more confidence in people. And I think not just confidence in that sense, but also confidence in your own body as well.
Okay.
There's a lot of people my age, me included, that go to the gym, work out and exercise. Some of the kids in my class, it's really funny. They'll be stood at the back of the class like this, just flexing their muscles and touching them, comparing them with each other's. And it's funny, but there was a lot of pressure for people my age to feel confident in their own bodies.
Yeah.
And I've heard it quite a lot from some of the people I'm close with that they're not. And it's quite sad because if you think about it, there's always going to be someone that you think is prettier than you or more handsome than you. And you will always want to take parts of them and put them on your own body. And it's be the same with those people, the same with the people that they look up to, and it goes on and on and on forever.
Yeah.
So I just don't see any point in being confident in my own body anymore. Well, I do, but not worrying about it.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm learning to move past that. Obviously, I want to be confident in my body.
Yeah.
But there's no point worrying because there's always going to be somebody that's wants something that I have, and I'm always going to want something that someone else has.
Yeah.
So I'm confident in my own body, happy with it.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to worry about it.
Well, I think the other thing at your age as well that's important to remember is that your body's going through massive amounts of change. So even if you liked what you've got right now, like bad news, it's going to change.
It's going to be different. Yeah.
Hopefully it will change for the better.
We hope so.
But it's likely that, especially going through puberty, there's going to be some uncomfortable changes that your body goes through, like whether that's your skin or your shape, or some people have kind of puppy fat where their body's just not evened out in the right way yet. Yeah. So I think it's almost a bit of a false security to have confidence in your body at this age, because actually it's going to change anyway.
Yeah.
So I think having that attitude of, do you know what, I'm just going to let this go and just be, as happy in myself as I possibly can be, but not get obsessive about it, is definitely the way to go.
Yeah.
I think in the work that I do, we see and hear much more about body confidence issues in girls, but you seem to have a perspective and have noticed it in boys as well. Is that right?
Yeah, I think what it is, girls are much more comfortable talking about it.
Mm.
I genuinely could name not probably about 2 of my friends that would happily go and find help on their own.
Yeah.
There is probably as much, if not more, in the side of where boys don't feel as confident in their bodies as girls. They just don't want to talk about it because, and I think this applies to me as well, I sometimes struggle with this. You want to feel powerful and manly, like you don't need any help, and you're fine the way you are. But it's tough because sometimes you're not.
Yeah.
But you don't want to admit it. And I'm 100% guilty of this, and I'm still like this today. And I know I'm like this, and I'm trying to change because I know it's unhealthy.
Yeah.
But there are probably so many boys out there, my age, younger, older, whatever, they're unhappy, and they just need some confidence to go and talk about it because you're not weak if you ask for help.
Yeah.
In fact, you're the total opposite. You're brave because you just feel like you can't do it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, anytime you do something you feel like is outside of your capabilities, where you've got to step up and be brave, is an opportunity to grow, get problems sorted. But actually, that is doing the difficult thing, you know. And if you want to be manly or seen as tough, then do the difficult thing. Exactly, like, don't take the easy option. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's good nowadays because I think it's trying to be pushed out there, that message that you are brave if you do something like that.
Yeah.
Because it is tough.
Yes.
It's hard.
Yes.
Talking is not easy, and I've learnt that firsthand as well.
Yeah.
But it's benefited me.
Yeah.
And I'm a better person for it, and I think most people would be.
Yeah.
So it's just, come on, boys, we've got to speak.
Yes, boys, do that. All right, what about in terms of, so one of the things we touched on in our conversation the other day, we were talking about getting that balance right, like for parents maybe that might see this video. We were talking about how, so for example, we've been here this week doing like a full-time job and a full-time day, which is tough. And it's a bit different to school hours, obviously. We were talking about like that pressure of then getting home, maybe that's getting home from school or getting home from work, and having to still do stuff. And like, how do parents get that balance right? We were sort of starting to have a little bit of a debate about this, where you were like, I just need my freedom. I need to go home and sleep. And I was like, no, the washing must be done.
Yeah, something like that.
So yeah, where's that? I guess my question was, well, at what point then do you start to take on some of those responsibilities and those chores? Because parents don't want to raise lazy kids, right? And future husbands don't want to be marrying future wives who don't know how to do stuff because they were never encouraged by their parents to do it, and future wives don't want to be marrying future husbands who don't know how to turn on the washing machine because they were never taught how to do it, and all of the other, you know, sort of mix and matches that might happen in between those sorts of scenarios. So how do we get this right?
Right, so I agree with you in the terms that we have, you know, we've got to have our responsibilities. We would be very screwed if we didn't have our own responsibilities for later in life. But it's something that is taught. It's a skill. Having responsibility is a skill. It's not something you're born with. So your parents can't just dump loads of responsibility on you. Like, even if it's something like go do the washing up or go do the dishwasher, tidy your room, whatever it is, they can't dump it on you. It's something that has to be taught.
Because, hang on, because justify it. They can't just dump it on you
because it's a skill. It's something that needs to be learned. It's like an instrument. Yeah. Like, if you're learning an instrument, you can't just, I don't know, pick up a guitar and play. Yeah. It has to be taught by professionals, and the professionals are the parents, because they're the ones that have done this themselves. They know what they're doing. They do this every day after work. So I think that it's something that has to be taught. Okay. So you start off slow, like you normally would, with small things, and then you know, if you're teaching them how to do, I don't know, washing machine, you'll show them how the buttons work and everything like that, and you can maybe set like a rotor or something. So if you have siblings, you get your older brother, your little sister to do it, you know, throughout the week. And as you get older, you'll get more and more jobs, and it will be something that becomes almost a part of
your routine sort of thing.
And that's what my parents have done very well.
Yeah.
And I think I'm getting used to it now. But if I hadn't done any of that, and then they just said, right, go do loads of this, I would have been like, hang on, I've just had a really busy day at school. I don't want to come back and do all this. But I think another thing as well is that parents don't realise, I think parents work longer hours than kids are at school, right? So naturally they might think that they've got a tougher day, they've got a tougher life at the minute. Don't get me wrong, work is tough, as I've experienced throughout this week. But the pleasure of work, especially in an environment like this, is there's no people around that are horrible and that will bring you down. In school, my school, for example, there's about 1,000 kids. I'm not going to get along with 1,000 kids. There's going to be some of those kids that hate me, and I hate some of those kids. It's natural, it's a human thing. And they will bring you down because they're kids. They will try and upset you and hurt you because they're kids. You don't normally have that at work. You might, but it's not as common. And if you are, then definitely speak up about it. But at a school, it is tough because these are children, and these are people that are still learning, and you've been nagged by children. Do this and that by the teachers. Do your work. Sit down. Shut up in silence. And write an essay. Yeah. And then you've got to come home after being in, I don't know, 6 different rooms for an hour. Yeah. Not seeing many of your friends. And then you've got to go do the washing up. And all you want to do is, I don't know, go and play Xbox with your mates. It's tough because you're being nagged all day. Yeah. By your friends, people you don't like, teachers. You're just being constantly nagged. Yeah. And if you want to work responsibility into that routine, then you've got to do it slowly, because it's just going to add a whole load more pressure on children and kids.
So would it be fair to say that one of the challenges, and probably in particular at your age where you are transitioning into adulthood, is that you're still going into a school environment where there's a power imbalance and you're still the underdog? Yeah. You know, you're not in charge of your life when you're in that school environment, whereas it's more likely for adults in a work environment, even though they might have bosses and things like that, there's less likelihood that they feel like the underdog in their job, and if they do, they probably need a new job.
100%, I totally agree, because at school, I'm moving into year 11. I've got 1 more week left at school, and then I'm a year 11, right? That still doesn't really mean that I am the top of the school, because there are always going to be people that are more confident than me, and more, I don't know, built than me, or whatever it is, in my year. And I guess in the years below as well, there's going to be bigger people and more confident people in the years below. I'm a pretty quiet kid. I don't muck about much, but there's always going to be someone bigger. You know what I mean? So I think that in a work environment, there is that sort of advantage of everyone's almost quite equal. Even if somebody's earning more than you, if it was a good work environment, they wouldn't care. They'd still try and get on with you because they want to be professional. Kids don't care about being professional. Kids want to go home, play PlayStation, and do what kids do.
The other thing that I think is important in what you're saying, which is maybe an advantage in the adult workplace compared to kids at school, is that typically when you're in a work environment, most of the time when you've learnt your job, you've learnt your job, and so not to say you end up working on complete autopilot like a zombie, but there are probably aspects of it where you can, zone out a little bit, have an easier sort of day if you need to. Whereas I feel that for young people that are in a learning environment like school, it takes up a huge amount of your mental energy, your capacity, the calories that you're burning from all of the learning that you're doing every single day. Like, there's not a point where you kind of go, oh, I've got the hang of this now, because as soon as you do, they go, new topic, we're learning something new. And I know that, like, for you this week, the week's got easier as it's gone on.
Yeah.
Like Monday, it was like,
it was tough Monday.
yeah. And you were knackered Monday night because you learnt so much throughout the day on Monday, but then by Tuesday you'd got into the swing of it, so it starts to get a bit easier.
It just got easier. Yeah, I agree. If you're taking in new knowledge or trying to take in new knowledge every day, I think that's impossible. I can't imagine that. And I've been trying.
You've been doing it, yeah.
I've been trying to take in knowledge every day, but I think there becomes a limit where your brain just goes, hang on a minute. And sometimes, I think that's why we have weekends.
Yeah.
But your brain's gone, hang on a minute, too early, and you're done by Wednesday.
Yeah.
Because in secondary school, it's a lot, like loads more pressure. And now I'm doing my GCSEs, there's even more.
Yeah.
So it's just constantly feeding you learning, feeding you education that some days you just can't take. And if something happens in your personal life, then it just makes everything 10 times harder. Yeah. Because you've got basically everything up here being taken by this one thing that you're thinking about in your personal life. No knowledge is going to go in. It's going to go in one ear and out the other.
Yeah.
And I think what teachers have to consider, and some of them in my school do this pretty well, but I don't think some of them understand that we're not perfect. Some kids are going to walk around with the shirt untucked and they don't realise it, and that's a punishment.
Yeah.
I think you forget a pen at home. That's a punishment. You're late to school. That's a punishment. The kids, they're trying to prepare us for adult life, and I understand and appreciate that. But I feel like it can be a bit harsh when, if you've already got things going on, even if you don't, then they're constantly trying to shape you to be the ideal person for the workplace. When in reality, no one is. Yeah. No, everyone's flawed.
So I kind of see both sides of that, to be honest. I do think schools and your teachers have a responsibility to shape you, because I'm an employer, so I want people coming in that are sort of as polished as possible and good to go, so that I'm not still fulfilling that parent-teacher role if I'm taking on apprentices and so on. But I also get what you're saying in that there needs to be a degree of some sort of flexibility in this, in that, it can't just be detention because your shirt was untucked. If someone's got other stuff that, that their head is somewhere else at that moment in time, they're not sort of misbehaving in a malicious way. They've just kind of missed the boat that day for some reason. So how would your teachers need to get that, like, what do they need to do to get that right?
Well, I think they need to do what we're doing and have a chat.
Okay.
And I think they need to understand from the point of view of the children and of the kids. There's so many different kids in my school. Not one of them is identical to the other. Everyone's going to have different problems. And I think that they need to, they'll never get a hold of all the problems. That's not human. They're never going to get it perfect, and I can appreciate that. But they need to understand that I think they can be a bit full on. And I feel like the punishments, obviously we've got to have them, but if it's something like a shirt being untucked, you've had a long week, it's the end of the week, I think they've got to give you a bit of leeway, because there's so much on your mind. And like we said earlier, you're trying to take in knowledge every single day, and that is hard. Yeah. That's a whole job in itself. And, it's very rewarding when you can get it right. But if you're someone like me that's always kind of falling behind a bit, can't quite keep up with everyone else, then it gets a bit difficult. So I want the teachers to understand that this taking in knowledge every day, it's unrealistic. But I understand why we're trying to do it, but it's unrealistic. I think we need more breaks. I know it's easy for any student to say that, but we need more breaks for our brains to function properly, because we would never be able to retain all that knowledge, because then we have to go home and then we have to revise. We don't get much free time. and we're in the young years of our life. All the adults say these are the best years of your life, and I want to live the best years of my life rather than sitting in my bedroom going over my maths notes.
Yeah.
And it's I think another thing they have to understand is that we just want to live our lives at the minute because of all the adults saying that you've got to enjoy them while you can.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's have a look at the questions that we had in from our NLP for Kids practitioners and see what things they sent our way. So here we go. We have got a question from, let's see. So this is a question from Stuart. We had this conversation the other day as well. Yeah. What are the current buzzwords? Because I can't keep up.
Oh, there's a couple. It depends what you're looking for. We talked about was it bunda, nyash, was it gab? I think, which was all slang words for bum. I'm too posh for this. There's leng and peng, which is beautiful or attractive. I can't think of any more that come into mind, but there's loads of them out there.
Okay.
I don't use many of them, as you might be able to tell.
So how much are drugs part of the conversation amongst you and your peers?
Mostly jokes.
Okay.
But I think there's a school with 1,000 children is going to have some kids that have probably done some drugs.
Okay.
And I think since we're young, a lot of us are wanting to try new things. I think we're curious of what it's like because we hear all of what it's like, but we don't experience it.
Do you know, and obviously don't mention any names, but do you know of anyone who is like definitely has dabbled or is quite proactive with drug taking in your school?
I do. I know more people than I'd like to admit, if I'm honest.
And what kind of stuff we're talking? A bit of weed smoking?
A bit of weeds, a bit of the marijuana. I've heard one instance of cocaine. Whether that's true or not, I've no idea.
Yeah.
But it's not great that kids my age are doing things like that. I don't know what it's like to experience things like that. The thought of it is a bit scary because it messes with your brain. Yeah. But I know it's a bit of a hot topic, especially with kids my age, and they find it funny as well. It's for some of the people that I know, it's just another casual conversation, really. Okay. But it's more of a what if. Okay. For kids my age.
Yeah. All right. Do you think school is a supportive environment for youths with challenges like anxiety?
You know what? Yes, I do. I do think that. Especially in my school, I've seen some people, there's this own little club that they do at lunchtime in the drama studio where some people with anxiety can just go, chill, talk. And I know some of my teachers are really supportive, things like that. So credit where credit's due. I think they are fantastic with dealing with anxiety.
Now, what you said to me the other day, though, was actually they're putting so much attention and effort into that. Yeah. If you're like normal,
I was just about to get onto that.
Yeah, go on.
So what I was going to say, but they do so much of that on the kids that have anxiety or depression or whatever it may be, that there's not a lot left for the people that don't. And people like me, we have struggles too. And I've had some personal things going in my life, and I've spoken up about it, but I didn't get as much as I think those people did. And I needed it because, like I said, school was tough. It's a tough environment. But I was lucky enough to have friends and people around me that I loved, and I went to them instead. Yeah. But not everyone has those kinds of friends. So I think that's when the teachers have got to step up. Yeah. But I was just lucky enough to have my friends. Yeah. But like I said, the kids my age who are not experiencing challenges like anxiety or depression, it can actually, in some ways, be more challenging for them, I feel like. So,
Yeah, well, I'm just wondering. So it sounds like if you've got a long-term fixed problem like anxiety or depression, the school's there for you. But if it's more of a one-off situation that's causing you problems, or it's a bit more low-key and it's not as serious, not perceived as being as serious an issue, then they're not providing the same kind of level of support for you. And the interesting thing with that is that if someone has a sort of lower level anxiety problem or a one-off anxiety problem and it doesn't get attended to, which fortunately for you it did with the support of your friends, if someone else didn't have that, the chances of that anxiety becoming far worse and becoming a longer term mental health problem later in their future are significantly increased. So in a way they might be missing a trick by going, oh, we'll put all our focus on the more severe cases and the less severe ones can kind of sort themselves out. Because actually, if you help the ones with the less severe cases, they don't become the more severe ones later on.
But credit where credit's due, they do a fantastic job with the people who are experiencing those challenges. But I think it's a matter of almost being equal, being fair. I'm going to experience some more challenges in my life. Probably, I've got a year left at school. Probably during that time, and I think they've got to almost they've got to do what they do for the people with those problems, and maybe come and talk to us about it. If we report it, like I said earlier, it's hard for boys, but I know girls will happily go up and talk to teachers with their problems. I'm really hoping that it does become this, not even just for me, just for people who are coming along, that it does become an environment where you can feel like you can go and talk to these teachers, no matter your problem, and be treated as if you as equally as everybody else. And that's the main thing that I would want.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Let's see. What other questions do we have? What could school do to make it a less overwhelming environment?
I think supporting what the kids do at home.
Okay.
So maybe things like talents and stuff.
Yeah.
My school, ever since it changed, there's been less sort of celebration on what the students picked up themselves. So their talents and things. I know there's so many talented people in my school. Unbelievably, they're good at football, good at singing, dancing, whatever it is. They're so talented, but they never get to show it. And it's such a shame. They're missing a massive trick. If they got to show their talents and do what they do to have fun,
or the things they're expert in already,
and celebrate those things that they have, then I feel like it would be more enjoyable going to school every day, and waking up in the morning and thinking, oh, I've got football at school today, or I've got band practice at school today, and being excited for it because you know that that's something you're going to do really well in. Or providing those services to kids that want them. So if you want to learn an instrument, you can go and talk to your music teacher about it, and get it arranged really quick, and have those services available to you, and then you can go and showcase them. I think they've just got to celebrate the students for being who they are, rather than being academically clever. They've got to be clever in their own right. And I think that's the trick they're missing to make kids feel happier and enjoy school.
Nice. And the change you mentioned with your school, so your school changed from a sort of regular independent school to a academy school,
right? To a trust.
Yes.
That came with its challenges, because in year 7 it was the first school, and I just got used to that, and we had lockdown as well, so I kind of forgot a lot as well. I forgot what it was like after school. And then year 8 comes around, 2020, 2021, and I've gone, oh, these are some new rules. They're really strict. And it was the first day back after being away for God knows how long, like 8 months or something ridiculous like that. And we've come back, And on my first day, I got a detention for not having a packet of tissues.
Wow.
I got 20 minutes after school because I didn't have a packet of tissues. They missed a massive trick with bringing us back in because we had all forgotten what it was like to be at school.
Yeah.
And I think now I think about it, maybe the teachers forgot what it was like to be at school as well because they've come back and they're like, right, rules.
Yeah.
Do this, do that. Maybe they forgot that. Hang on, we were in the same situation as you. But I think they still, either way, the job of a teacher is not only to teach but to provide a safe environment for kids. And that was one of the times where I felt like that wasn't there.
Yeah.
But the change was difficult, but I managed.
Yeah.
I've only got 1 year left now, and then I'm gone.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a learning curve, and me and my mates did it. So yeah.
Good. All right. What pressure is there at this age to drink the alcohols, smoke the cigarettes, or vape?
Well, I think these are all three different things. So what, alcohol, cigarettes, and vaping, yeah?
Yeah. Give me a bit on each of them.
Yeah.
So for you, for your friends, what's your relationship with alcohol? Do you have a relationship with alcohol?
No. No, I don't drink. You know, I'm 15 and I'm, as you can see, quite boring and responsible. But with alcohol, I know some of my friends do it, drink it, and you know, we're 15. We're 15.
Do you feel that there's pressure to drink?
No, not really, because, well, with my friends at least, they're very supportive, happy people. And I've never seen it outside of, you know, there being that pressure outside of my friend. I think that's an old thing. And you know, things shown on TV like peer pressure of drinking alcohol. With cigarettes, honestly, people that do the old drugs and stuff that I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
I've heard them say things like cigarettes are disgusting.
Oh, really?
So there's not much.
That's interesting.
Not much with cigarettes. They don't bother doing any of that.
Yeah.
But the vaping is a whole different story.
Okay.
That is taking over my school, the school down the road, every school across the country.
Wow.
It is everywhere with kids, and they're marketed for kids. They're bright
sweet
colours,
flavours,
fun flavours,
yeah,
of cancerous air.
Yeah.
I've always disagreed with it. I've always hated it, and I've always just never seen the point. But the thing is, what happens is they'll start it to try and look cool, because this is one thing that they do want to look cool in, and then it becomes, oh, that was quite nice.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a habit, and then you get a nick rush of nicotine, and you just need it.
Yeah.
And it becomes an addiction. And the thing is, you get made fun of for it, because you look like an idiot smoking, I don't know, a yellow pineapple flavoured pipe full of pineapple flavoured air.
Yeah.
And there is, I wouldn't say there's pressure to do it, but I'd say that, because nobody pressures you, but I'd say that it's almost like a subconscious thought, like, oh, I have to do this to fit in.
Right. So it's not like someone saying, do it, do it, do it. It's more like everyone else is doing it, exactly, and I'll be the odd one out if I'm not doing it.
I've learned to disagree with that, because so the rest of my friends, because we think it's stupid. I think, you know, vaping as a substitute for smoking, if you're trying to get off smoking and you start vaping, I think that's fantastic. I fully support that. But if you started vaping just because, I can't agree with that, because you're hurting yourself. Yeah. And you've only got you to blame for starting that, I feel like, most of the time. So, yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, what about knife crime? Do you worry about that?
Yes, actually. Okay. Not long ago, I'll tell you a little story. We had a woman come in to our school, and she was giving us a speech on like knife crime and crime in general, I suppose. And then she started telling us the story of this rapper who was starting to make it really big. He was doing really well on Spotify, and he was stabbed outside one of his gigs and he bled to death. Oof. And then she was telling us about this story, and then she said that she was his mum.
Oh, gosh.
Yes, and the whole room went silent.
Yeah.
And ever since that assembly, that was probably the most moving assembly I've ever had, and I think the rest of my friends agreed with me.
Yeah.
That was crazy, and ever since then I've been a bit more cautious because it's a problem, especially in this country, and especially where I go to school as well. It's a worry because it doesn't just affect me; it affects my friends, and because I am the coolest guy in the world, I have so many friends.
Obviously,
thank you. Because I don't wish harm to any of my friends. My friends mean the world to me, and I want them to be as safe as possible. But knife crime scares me because I don't want them getting hurt.
Do you see or hear of it
all the time? It's
in school.
Yes, it's a pretty more so than drugs. It's a hot topic.
Right.
I hear it every day.
Okay.
Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if some people in that school had blades on them during lessons or anything.
Yeah.
I haven't seen them. I don't think they're stupid enough to take them out. But I would not surprise me if some of them had weapons on them. And that's why you don't start fights.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you heard in the news. I don't know where it was, but a teacher got stabbed by a student.
I did hear about this.
Yeah. It's everywhere. It's inescapable. It's in schools. It's scary. That's what it is.
Is there any justification? Because I've heard this directly. I need to carry a knife for protection.
There is. When that lady was at our school and she was talking to us, she did almost like a little survey mid-assembly, and she asked random people what percentage of people carrying knives is, and everyone was saying about 20%, 30%. The answer was 2% of people.
I was going to say that's pretty high. Yeah.
We because of what the news feeds us as kids.
Yeah.
We think it's so much higher than it actually is, but it's 2% of people.
Okay.
So in a room of 100 people, 2 people have a knife.
Yeah.
There is no need to feel like you have to carry a knife.
Right.
Because that number is so low. It's very unlikely that you can encounter someone like that. But there is always a chance, and that's what fuels the people with the knives and the weapons, that they have this need to protect themselves.
So they're all basing it on a myth.
Yeah.
Like they're all thinking everyone else has got a knife, so I need to have a knife. Actually, they never had a knife, so you never needed to carry one.
And it's the problem of, I think, the media
and
news sites, because they feed us so much rubbish info on the knife crime, and all it is someone's been stabbed here, someone's been stabbed there, and people my age are fearing for their lives, so they feel like they need to bring their own weapons to save them, and all it's going to do is put more people in danger.
So speaking of media, tell me about social media. How does social media impact your life?
Well, my life, most of the time, I think it's a fun place to be. I don't have any personal problems with it, really. But for things like schools, there's these accounts that film school fights.
Oh, wow.
And they put it on.
Wow.
Yes.
That's a thing.
It's a thing.
Wow.
And then it got taken down and they just made another one. And they keep making more. And it's really bad. But at the same time, all the kids love it because it's entertainment. Really. It's
gruesome entertainment.
What is gruesome entertainment, but what I think they see it as is because school is such a kind of a bit of a gloomy place.
Yeah.
That they just kind of poke fun at it and find some kind of way to laugh.
So it's like you're in a very stifled, regimented, rule-based place, and then you see a video where there's chaos.
Yeah. In
that kind of a place.
Chaos, and I think there was this one time that there were about 9 school fights in the space of a 40-minute lunchtime. Wow. Yeah. That was...
In your school?
In my school, yeah. And that was talked about for about a month afterwards because it was... it was entertaining, don't get me wrong. Yeah. You've got something going on there and something going on there. Yeah. And then rumours are flying about everywhere and you're like, oh, what's going on? Yeah. There's no doubt about it was entertaining. But it's not good. No. We know it's not good. And it worries me because, like I said, my friends are decent enough to stick up for themselves, which I respect. But going back onto knife crime, there's a 2% chance that if they get in a fight, they'll be stabbed.
Mm-hmm.
That 2% is 2% too high.
Yeah.
If you ask me.
Yeah.
It worries me, the whole school fights and the social media as well.
Yeah.
Because things can spread like that on social media. They go around so quickly.
Have you come across any like online bullying? Maybe not directed at you, but have you sort of known about that amongst your friends?
Yeah, there's always kind of online bullying. There's no way you can fully eradicate.
It's sort of the way that you respond to that is almost like, yeah, there's online bullying. Like we've just learned to accept this as part of life.
Point, we just have learned to accept it. I feel like I've never been bullied online. I don't think I've ever really been bullied. So I'm fortunate enough to be in a position where I kind of just look at it and I go, oh, that's a bit unfortunate, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I know that it can probably affect some people, but it doesn't stop because kids are ruthless.
Yeah.
So it will keep going and keep going to the point where they just go, I don't care anymore, let them have it. And then it goes on for ages and then it dies down. So they kind of bully them into almost not caring that they're being bullied, so then they can feel like they have more freedom. And when they get bored, they'll move on to someone else. Yeah. So social media and the whole cyberbullying thing is pretty rubbish, but it's just everywhere. Yeah. And it's everywhere to the point it's just boring now.
Okay, so it's just part of life now.
At this point, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. How encouraged do you feel to set goals and ambitions that are not related to your future work life?
To be honest, at school, not very.
Okay.
There is, like I was talking about earlier, there's no talent shows, no.
So you've got a lack of opportunity there.
Lack of opportunity to showcase what you can actually do. You know, we've got, as a musician, I've got my drum lessons.
Yeah. Do you do that at school or outside of school or both?
At both.
Okay.
But I've got ones at school. Yeah. 20-minute long. My drum teacher is a legend. I love him so much. But I've got that 20 minutes and I've got to go back and it's never spoken of again. And it's the only motivation I have is through other people that aren't related to school enjoying what I'm doing. Okay. So like my drum teacher. Yeah. He's wicked. I'll go in, I'll do what I do, and he'll say, that's fantastic, learn this. I learn it, he'll go, that's fantastic, learn this. It's constant work. I love it because it's what I do. And school doesn't appreciate that. And it doesn't just go for me. Like I said earlier, there's so many talented people in my school. But I doubt half the kids know about them. Yeah. Because it's never been showcased.
So you've mentioned school quite a lot in that. Is it up to school to help nurture these additional goals and talents and ambitions Emma mentioned here as well? Or is that also partly on your parents, and at your age is it also partly on you to go, actually there's something out there I want to do and achieve, so I'm going to fix my own mind on making sure it happens?
Yeah, you can't pin the blame on one person. There's definitely a bit of, school, parents, always got to take some responsibility, and the person themselves. School, obviously, because there's no celebration. I think the parents would need to understand and try and reach out to their kids and say, well, this is what you do. Would you like to expand on that and get better at whatever it is you do? And that's great. And then the student or the kids have to accept that opportunity, or what they could do is try and go find something on their own. Yeah. So find people, meet new people, get contacts, and
find your people.
Yeah, find your people. Find people that are like you, and that do the same thing as you and enjoy the same stuff as you, and just have fun with it. Yeah. And that's, I think, by school, I don't feel encouraged to keep drumming. Okay. I don't. But everything else is telling me to keep going, and I love drumming. I love it so much. But I would just wish that school would appreciate what I do, and understand that it's mine. I enjoy it, and I want to showcase it, but I've never had the chance. Yeah. So I'm just trying to find my opportunity.
How worried do you feel you and your friends are about climate change?
That's a good one, Matt. I'm pretty worried about climate change. But the thing is, again with the media, it's everywhere, but everyone's saying different things.
Yeah. So what do you believe about it?
Well, I know that the planet's getting hotter.
Yeah.
I know that ice caps are melting.
Yeah.
And sea levels are going up.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I know.
Do you believe that? Because some people believe, and actually that's just part of a cycle which has happened hundreds of years ago, and so this is actually perfectly natural and normal, whereas other people go, no, this is not supposed to be happening, this is not part of any other cycle we've ever been through on the planet, and this is caused by emissions and gases that shouldn't be there in the environment. Do you have a view on that?
Yeah, I believe the second thing that you said.
Okay.
So
this is a man-made problem.
This has got to be. There's no way that I like when I see it on the telly, on the news. There's always a scientist talking about it.
Yeah.
And if you've got scientists talking about it, that probably means there's something going wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So I think with my dad, right, he's an electrician, and he has recently, as you'll know, been going on about electric cars.
He really has.
He really has, hasn't he? And before we got our electric car, he was going on about how they're just as bad for the planet as normal cars.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know why. So I asked him, and he said it's the way that they're made. It releases about, I think he said about 3-4 years worth of emissions that a car on the road would make just by making the car. So you'd have to use it for more than about 3 or 4 years to make almost like this.
A return on investment sort of a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the whole, everyone's talking about it. Like, there's no way it's fake. And it worries me that everyone's talking about it, but it worries me that no one at school, teachers, doing anything about it. There's never had an assembly on it or dedicated lesson to it.
Yeah.
Especially in geography, I'd say geography GCSE, we've never had a lesson on climate change. It's been about what's going on in Lagos or how earthquakes happen.
Okay.
So, you know.
Sounds like an old syllabus. I remember learning that.
Yeah.
You know.
But they've got to keep up with the times, don't they?
Yeah.
Something's going wrong in the world.
Yeah.
And they're not teaching us about it.
And it's interesting because I feel like it's a problem my generation and the ones above have created, but we're leaving it to you.
That's what I think.
So you go fix it for me.
Yeah. And
do you know what you're doing?
Absolutely not. I ain't got a clue. But the thing is, like I said, they're not teaching us anything. And if they really cared, then I feel like they would adjust to the time. And to be fair, not the teacher's fault. It's the people that run trust and the government
and the education.
Yeah. And they're that they have to consider what's going on and what's going on in the world and the whole climate changey stuff.
Yeah.
I think it does worry me because I want to live. I enjoy living.
Yeah.
And I enjoy living as it is. I don't want the world to get hotter because in summer it's already unpredictable.
Yeah.
And I want to experience wildlife and explore the world, not have it flooded and ruined.
Yeah.
And pollution in the water and stuff as well. You've got your plastic straws and what have you, killing the turtles. It's sad. I love animals.
Yeah.
I think animals are fantastic, beautiful things.
Yeah.
And they make this world incredible. I don't want to see them go because I know that because of climate change and because of pollution and things that they will.
Yeah.
And that, between me and my mates, climate change is a worry. And that's 100%.
Okay. So, do you watch or listen to the news, not social media, so regular mainstream news? I know I've been hammering some down your throat this week anyway.
Yeah.
Would you normally know what's going on in the news? And if so, how do you feel about it?
Well, I would. I like to think I watch news. I watch the news. I listen to the news as well, like in the car on the way to school. I have it on the radio. And I try and keep up.
Yeah.
But it kind of links back to what I was saying earlier about having so many things in your brain when you're trying to go to school and you're taking information and you leave the bits that aren't important. So the bits going on in the news just flick out your head. So you can take in the knowledge that's in school. I think the news is really, I think you could agree with me on this, depressing and sad and miserable. And I think it's discouraging me at least from wanting to listen to it. But I know that there are some pretty important things going on right now, like the Ukraine war. That's interesting, but it's depressing. Climate change, that's interesting but depressing. I haven't seen one happy bit of news in a while. Like even, what's that, Edwin van der Sar, Manchester United football player who played a long time ago, he's in hospital with me. And it's heartbreaking. I love football.
Yeah.
I'm not a Man U fan, but you don't wish that on anyone. It was like my dad when he was big on F1 back in the day. Was it not Michael Schumacher that had the brain injury? Who was it that had brain injury?
That was someone else by the name of. You're testing me now.
Yeah. Well, I can't
that one.
Yeah. That was.
It will come back to me as soon as we stop videoing.
As soon as we stop videoing, we'll know. But he never liked him, but he got that injury and it silenced him.
Was it Ayrton Senna?
Well, it wasn't Senna. No, I can't remember for the life of me who it was. I'll ask him once we've done this.
Yeah.
And then you can edit it in afterwards. It kind of moves you, even if
even if it's not the person you support, you have empathy for that situation.
The news is horrible. It's boring. It's scary. It's everything that I don't want it to be. I want to have faith in the world. I don't have faith when they're reporting mass stabbings or mass shootings in America or whatever it is. So I've definitely distanced myself from the news. Yeah, that's for sure. But I still know it's important to keep myself updated. Yeah. But I kind of don't want to anymore because I just want to think happy thoughts and not be distracted by what's going on in the miserable world. Yeah. All right. So final question from me then. You mentioned about wanting to have faith in the world. Yeah. Overall, if you look to your future, do you mainly have faith that good things will happen for you? Or do you mainly look to the future and see life is probably going to get more bleak? I'm both. Okay. I'm both really looking forward to being an adult and not. There is so many. There's been so many people, adults, that have told me, I was going on about this earlier to you, to enjoy my youth years because it just gets tough when you're an adult. And I want to enjoy my youth because I'm having a lot of fun at the minute. But no one's doing anything about climate change. People my age are too young to, go and get in the lab and stuff. Yeah. Fix the planet and what have you. We're relying on older people and they're doing nothing. And it makes me think, and it has been making me think, that maybe we are not. I don't think it's going to end fantastically. So we're not as prepared as we should be. We're not as prepared as we should be. But in terms of careers and things, I think there's promise. I think there's hope. There's things to look forward to in careers because I'm a 15-year-old boy. There's so many things I could do. I've got probably about 55 at least years left in me. Yeah. At least. I do hope so. I think with careers, there's so many things for me to explore. Ideally, I'd like to do something in music, be a drum teacher, maybe make it a massive, very famous band. That'd be fun. Yeah. And I think there's hope for that because of the news, people are so more bored and depressed that they're trying to find escapes. Yeah. So music is a great escape for people. And if I want to be in that industry, either teaching drums, performing drums, there's going to be this almost crowd of people that would want to do something like that to escape this gloom and doom. Yeah. So I'm half and half. Yeah. It's interesting you say about people wanting to escape the gloom and doom. I fully see that, and I think you've got a very healthy attitude in thinking I can take music
and I can, escape that rat race, gloomy life by doing something positive.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who escape the doom and gloom in less healthy ways. That's where I come in.
Yes.
And I see that for me is like the gloomy side, is I see more of that sort of challenge increasing over the years.
Yeah. I don't think, for me personally, I don't think I could ever see myself turn into drugs or drinks to try and escape, because my escape is through music.
Yeah.
That's my go-to, and it always works. There's never been a time where it hasn't worked.
Yeah.
Music is always there. Music's there anytime you need it. And there's loads of it.
Yeah.
So I think, I don't know about my friends though.
Yeah.
They're not musical.
So they have to find their own.
They've got to find
ways.
what they do, and I know some of them, they do musical theatre, but musical theatre isn't really there for you 24/7. You can't just get up and start doing Romeo and Juliet in the middle of your bedroom if you're a bit upset. It's not quite how it works for people with musical theatre.
Yeah.
But you can, with music, get up and stick your favourite song on.
Yeah.
So it depends on what you enjoy as an escape or an alternative to the gloom and doom. For me, I think I'm pretty sorted when it comes to that, and I've got some wonderful people around me as well, my friends, my family, who I'm so comfortable going to.
Yeah.
Not everyone has that, and like I was saying earlier, linking back to the first thing I said, it's boys.
Yeah.
There's I know that in terms of suicide rates, boys are much higher than girls. In terms of drug abuse, boys much higher than girls. Knife crime, boys. Alcohol, boys, whatever it is, because they just don't talk.
Yeah.
And it's sad, because much of my mates are boys, and I know that there's probably something going on.
Yeah.
But if I was to go and ask, I'd get shut down.
Does that mean you shouldn't ask?
No, it doesn't mean I shouldn't ask. I would rather get shut down, because I have asked in the past and I have been shut down.
How many times do you ask before you give up? How many times do you need to get shut down?
To be fair, I don't think it's enough. I think I should be really annoying them to the point where they just go, fine. Yeah. I'd say probably on average twice.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's enough.
No.
I think I should be asking way more. But the problem is, I'm like, I'm annoying them now. Yeah. But I want to annoy them. Yeah. I want to get out of them. I want them to talk because I want them to feel better. So they'll hate me for a bit, but in the long run, it will help them out. So I think I should start asking them more. Yeah. Nice. How have you found the experience of talking to me today? Fun. Lovely on time. I've really enjoyed myself, actually. Fidgeting in the chair. Same. Yeah, having a lovely old time. I've really enjoyed myself. Yeah, thank you for interviewing me. And thank you for being here this week. You did an amazing job on your work experience. Thank you. I tried my best. You did good. It's tough, the world of work, isn't it? It really is. Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to leaving school and working, I think. I've enjoyed myself. Yeah. It's a nice environment to be in as well. Good stuff. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.